Hello everyone and welcome to this week's edition of WrestleChats. We've been gone a while, we understand that, but we're back, we're bad.
What do you want?
Back. I'm not mad.
We're middle-aged men. We've got stuff to do.
Yeah, we've got a lot on. You know, occasionally, I've got to take the kids to and from school, I've got to cook the dinner. Who's doing all that?
I'm having a kitchen put in.
That's it, he's getting a kitchen put in. You can't just be editing YouTube videos all the time.
We're grown-ups.
Going off.
We're here to smash the preconception that all wrestling fans live in their mum's basement. Yeah. Not true.
No, not at all.
I live in a house that I own.
Yeah.
With my wife. Yeah.
Just, regular dad shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got a plumber coming.
I've got to wait in for a parcel, mate, While I'm doing that, I've got pots to wash, Can't just be doing YouTube.
They've given me a delivery window. It's 8 till 1. I've got to be in.
Oh, wait till you get a 9 till 5, you drags.
Right. Just shift, innit?
So this week we're going to do things a little bit differently. We're going to go through AEW first because, as everybody knows, this week we've had some pretty big, pretty colossal news in the WWE releases. We'll get to that in the back half. But as always, first and foremost, Gazz, this week, what have you been watching? What video games have you been playing?
I have been playing exclusively the Spider-Man Miles Morales game still. I borrowed a PS5.
You borrowed one?
I had to borrow one because you can't get them in the world. And I'm not signing up to an app that pings me when there's one at like Gary's PlayStations.biz. I'm not dealing with it. I'll go into a shop and I'll buy one from a shop so that when it breaks, because it's still a first generation console, so when I get it home and it starts pissing water at me or like it burns a hole in the floor, I can take it back to a person and go, this PlayStation you bought me ripped my cock off. Can I have another one? I'm not going to get that same level of customer service if I bought it from like gamesandgamesandgames.org. Not happening, is it?
No, mate. I enjoyed your little rant there. That sounded like you'd had that held in for a while.
Yeah, I was annoyed, wasn't I? I didn't mean to be, but was. I've been playing Miles Morales. It's very, very good.
It is very, very good. I've played the PS4 version. It's probably almost exactly the same.
Yeah, just looks slightly better.
Yeah, that's the one. Seen any movies? Watched any shows?
I watched V for Vendetta again.
Yeah, you did.
What used to be a terrifying look into a dystopian fascist future and is now just a similar look at now times, but there's a man in a mask.
Yeah.
That goes all the way up past his eyes instead of just to here.
Yeah. Except now somebody's actually doing something about it in that world. Over here,
that's the only difference.
It's just perpetuating.
2 differences between V for Vendetta world and now is that his mask goes up to there and he's doing something.
Which, as we know, you love.
I absolutely love that. That makes the world now worse.
Congratulations, world. You're officially worse than V for Vendetta was 15, 20 years ago.
15 years ago.
Yeah. Well played. Me and the wife started Better Call Saul.
Oh, yeah.
Because we finished Breaking Bad.
Sure.
We tried Better Call Saul a while back, and I think we got to like the middle of the second season, and it didn't really grab us all that much.
You got to the middle of the second season, and it didn't grab you. Isn't that like 32 hours of television?
The whole way through, it was like, I don't know if I like this, and it just felt like a slog, and we stopped it. But we've gone back to it, and I'm hard all in on it now. It is really, really good.
You give everything way too much leeway. You get like 2-3 episodes with me, and if it's not good, forget it.
Yeah, that's the difference between us, though, isn't it, Gaz?
I'm not sitting for 32 hours on the off chance that something becomes good.
I mean, I wouldn't call myself an optimist, but you're definitely not that. You're on the other end of that scale.
Either start good or get cancelled off the television. Why is it on still?
There's one of you in charge of every network. That's why Firefly only got one season.
That's
because
right.
someone like you went, mate, get it off my telly.
Firefly started good. Oh, this is good, this. But everyone says, like, with with Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones and whatnot. No, not the first series. Gets good in the second series. It shouldn't take 24 hours to get good. It should start good, or it shouldn't get a second series.
I think that I've definitely noticed a shift in my taste to stuff that takes a little bit longer to get going and is a little bit more involved and wordy and that sort of thing. These back in the day used to be like, just do things, get going,
please
move,
crack on.
Yeah, but and Breaking Bad's very much like that. It does take, but then when you get to those moments at the end, they've taken that time to build it up in the beginning, and it works that much better. So, but yeah, I've been watching that.
We can revert this opinion of yours back to wrestling shortly.
Yes.
As we discuss Full Gear.
Which we absolutely will do. This week on AEW Dynamite and Rampage, which we'll cover here, it opened with Kenny Omega versus Alan Angels. It was a pretty decent match. Alan Angels got to show off some of his stuff. Decent competitive match.
Velan Vengels.
Yes, that guy. I'll say this much. On Dynamite, there was that segment where the Jurassic Express and Christian Cage all came out, and they basically attacked.
The Super Click.
The Super Click, yeah, they beat the shit out of him. Very heely. I mean, it's good to see, because this is how terribly WWE books babyfaces. When a babyface gets a little bit of a comeuppance on the heels during the build-up to the match at the pay-per-view or whatever, it looks odd. Because it's always so one-sided in WWE. It's always like the heels make the babyface look like a dumbass like 98% of the time. So that when you see it the other way around, they came out, they beat the shit out of him. Christian smacked Adam Cole with a concerto, for God's sake, a one-man concerto. Looked like he murdered him. It looks really odd. But I enjoyed it. It was like, wow, look, there you go. The faces aren't dickheads. They actually did an ambush and got some revenge.
Yeah. That's how you should do that.
Yeah. I remember thinking that was mad. The AAA tag match, FTR and Aerostar and Samurai Del Sol. Aerostar had a nice little botch fest party for himself.
Here's the rub, right?
Is it I Hate FTR? Is it that?
No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't I Hate FTR. I do. But that's not what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Luchadors don't work well if they're not wrestling other Mexican luchadors in a luchador-style match. If you put them all together, if you watch AAA, they all make sense because they're all doing that stuff and they're all sometimes falling on their necks, but they're all doing it and that's what happens there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you are watching them against any other team in any other situation, it looks like he's fucked up. But, that's just the way they do it. That's how that works there. In Japan, it looks like he's smacking you in the mouth, because he is. And that's just the way they do it over there. So when, Suzuki comes over and punches someone in the teeth, everyone's like, oh! But in Japan, they just politely clap, because that's just what they're used to.
Yeah.
In Mexico, Aerostar probably lands on his full neck 4 or 5 times a match, and no one even bats an eyelid. But it sticks out like a sore thumb in North American wrestling because we're not used to people doing that.
I mean, I've seen Aerostar in other matches over the years and never left with the impression that he was a danger to himself and those around him. But during this one, it was abundantly clear that he was a danger to himself and those around him, and that's not what you want in a wrestling ring. Samuel Del Sol did pretty good. But
he accidentally put an H in the word John, so he's fucked forever. Shame, innit?
I know.
Usually it takes more than one H to bury someone in wrestling.
Hey! Nice work.
Tar.
So that was decent. What else did we have on this show? Jamie Hayter won the women's championship title tournament bracket thing.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was good. Decent little match there.
She's very good. She wrestled over here for Southside
Yes.
Which doesn't exist anymore. Rev Pro took them over, but it was a company in Nottingham. She's always been really good, but she's obviously over the last year or so, she's sort of changed physique and she's sort of changed style. So she's muscled up. She was always good, but she just feels sort of a lot more powerful now. And there's less of her, which is weird. She's obviously dropped a lot of weight, but she's put it back on in terms of sort of power size. She's got more of a Toni Storm sort of look to her now.
Yeah. I remember her showing up pre-pandemic AEW here and there.
She was good then as well. She had a really good match then.
Yeah, she had some. She was stood out as a proper heel amongst a sea of just happy to be here, smiling baby faces that they had at the time in the women's division.
The slightly baffled Japanese women wondering why their gimmick of being Freddie Mercury doesn't seem to be getting over.
It is a weird one, that, but I like that they let people do what they want to do to a certain extent. You know, I hate the whole, right, I've woke up today and now you're going to be a dragon. You're a dragon now. But my name was Steve the wrestler before. No, you're a dragon and your name's Dave.
We're not having the word wrestler. No wrestlers.
Yeah.
And then in 4 days' time, there was all these fucking dragons. Ridiculous. Cowboys now.
Exactly. Stuff like that. Big match from Dynamite being the Cody Rhodes versus Andrade El Idolo match. Got some opinions on this one, do you, Gazz?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about that?
Actually, I don't have opinions. I have one opinion.
Okay.
My opinion is, why is any of this happening? How and why does it make any sort of sense?
Take us through it. Take us through what...
I will. So,
what happened?
We started off with Malachi Black versus Cody, and that was going on over here. And then Andrade came in, and he wanted to recruit or defeat or befriend the Lucha Brothers. He wasn't entirely sure. And then that turned into a feud with Pac that does not include the Lucha Brothers anymore at all, because they went off to do other stuff. So he came in with whichever manager he was with that minute, and he said, I want to... Lucha Brothers, why don't you join me and fuck Pac off? And they said, no, we don't really want to do that. And then he said, well, why don't you do it? Why don't you get rid of Pac? And they said, well, Pac's not here. He can't fly into the country again. So he's not here. Doesn't really work. And then they won the tag titles and went away.
Yeah.
And then he switched managers, and he's like, well, I hate Pac now. I want to defeat the Lucha Brothers. I've hired FTR. You go, well, why does that make sense? Well, it just does. Shut up. Now FTR are in a feud with the Lucha Brothers that doesn't include Andrade. And he went off to feud with Cody. Having lost his Pac feud, he went off to feud with Cody, who's still feuding with Malachi Black after about a year and a half. And then Aleister Black joined Andrade for reasons that have not been explained at any point. And so Pac and Cody are a team because the people they're feuding with are a team. But the people they're feuding with shouldn't be a team. So none of it makes any sort of sense. Why aren't the Lucha Brothers there? Why don't they care anymore? Who's Andrade's manager now? Is it that guy with the iPad? Who's he? And where's he come from?
It's the clipboard guy, isn't it? I mean, it's all very tangentially linked. Slightly.
It's a fucking mess.
It is a bit of a mess. I mean, I'll put it this way. As long as we're getting matches like this out of it, I'm okay with it. But no, yeah, I know you're not.
No. It must make sense.
It must make sense for Gazz.
No, it should just... Everything should make sense.
No, I get that.
If you're watching some film, whatever, you're watching a film, and the people are walking through the park, they're like, oh, well, you know what we should do? We should get a dog. Let's get a dog together. But then a tank drives through and blows up Parliament, and then they walk off and go, so anyway, what about this dog? And no one ever explains where the tank was from. Look, it was cool when the tank came, but it didn't make any fucking sense. It has to make sense.
You ordered the beef sandwich, but
and what I got was a tank.
No. With AEW, it's every sort of third or fourth bite, there's a bit of tank in there.
And I'm happy to have a tank. I just don't understand why I've got one.
No, I see your point. I knew you'd have big things to say about that. That's why
it was just annoying. And also the Cody and Malachi Black feud was shit. And Cody lost. So why are we still doing it? Aren't we done with this now? It's been going on for so long. Like, my hair was so much shorter when we started doing this feud. We've had 30 matches. Malachi Black has wrestled all the trainees at the Nightmare Factory 1,000 times. What are we doing? It's like Skeletor versus He-Man. It's been going on forever. It is officially going on forever. It will never be finally decided who has won between Cody and Malachi Black.
Who has won the wrestling?
It's too much of this now. Do something else.
Okay.
Please.
I mean,
the match was okay.
I don't. That said, the match was good.
3.5 bomb. Do you not think you're more of a match quality guy, though, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, I don't. I like the fact that things make sense in the story and the stories are good. AEW does simple stories. They're not trying to subvert your expectations all the time like WWE are and that sort of thing. And and they logically, for the most part, book things and let them play out rather than going, right, well, this isn't working after 38 seconds. Let's just spin this off, fire 14 of the wrestlers involved in it, and, forget that any of it ever existed. What's that thing? That was 4 weeks ago. It might as well have never fucking happened.
The problem is, though, because they book everything else so consistently well, when something is weird and doesn't make sense, it sticks out like crazy.
A lot of the time, you find it's Cody stuff that has this problem. So
he doesn't really exist. He exists in the Codyverse.
He's his weird little sort of bubble that he wrestles in with people coming in and out of it, but he stays over here. I can't fathom how he's not been involved with the Elite at all, really.
Because he's not involved with anyone.
They were building to that blood and guts match that they were initially going to have. It was going to be, Cody and all the good guy Elite as they were at that time against, who was it they were going to go up against? Can you
it was the Inner Circle.
Oh, of course, yeah. So the Inner Circle, heel Inner Circle as well. So they were going to fight each other, and Cody cut a couple of promos mentioning it, but that's it. Apparently, I was reading it the other day. Cody hasn't been in any match with Kenny Omega or the Young Bucks at all. He had that one match with the Young Bucks. It was him and Dustin versus the Young Bucks, wasn't it?
He hasn't had a match with or against Kenny Omega at any point
since AEW started. I mean, apart from them ones he had in New Japan back in the day.
Yeah.
I think we've pretty much covered all of that now.
Yeah.
But I see your point. But it was a decent match, regardless. The main event was Miro versus Orange Cassidy. Miro being brought in as a last-minute replacement for Jon Moxley. That was a belter, I thought, for a 7-minute match. I really enjoyed
that match.
7 minutes.
I have one small problem with it, and it's a very small problem.
Go on then.
So 2/3 to maybe a third of the way through the show, Miro cut a promo saying he was going to be the one who took over from Moxley. I wouldn't have done that.
No.
I'd have had Orange Cassidy come out, waiting for who the person was going to be, and then have Miro come out.
Yeah, I see.
You get a much bigger reaction, because it's the same show. It's not like you're making us wait weeks for it. It's the exact same show. So, but we don't know.
Yeah.
But you don't have to tell us an hour and a half before it happens. Why not just have him come out?
That makes you wonder whether or not the live crowd got that promo. Or not.
I don't think they did, probably.
Because they did seem to react pretty big to him coming out, if I remember right.
Yeah, they loved it. And so he got the reaction, but most of us aren't in the live crowd.
No, that's true.
So, play to the rest of us. That said, it's a very, very small problem.
Yeah, it was a really
I enjoyed that match. I think Mira's been booked brilliantly.
I'm a sucker for a match that gets me to bite really hard on a near fall, and him hitting that beach break.
Yeah.
And the near fall that got, I thought that was nice, very nice. And the right person went over. I thought they might have pivoted to Bryan Danielson versus Orange Cassidy for the pay-per-view, but Miro versus Bryan Danielson should be a fucking belter.
I know it's not going to go this way, but I would really like Miro to beat Bryan Danielson.
I will say this. I think if you watch the pay-per-view and if Miro goes over in that match, then Hangman Adam Page is definitely winning against Kenny Omega.
Yeah, but he already is.
I mean, yeah, totally he is. I mean, if he doesn't, at this point,
ludicrous.
Back to the first match of the of Dynamite, but the after the Dark Order, what's his name? Angels versus Kenny Omega match.
Yeah.
He came out, saved him from a beatdown and all that.
But he went for the buckshot lariat and
he ducked it. And
that was so good.
They've been building that for a whole 2 years at this point, haven't they? You can see him thinking about doing it a bunch of times. A bunch of times did he actually hit him with it when they were tag partners?
He's never hit him with it.
Has he not?
No. They were tag partners and they were falling out. He just put his hands on the ropes. And everyone went, but then he didn't actually do it.
It's like that as well, isn't it, when he does it?
And he's gone for it. He's jumped a bit and hasn't really gone over. And he's gone all the way over and missed. But he's done it ever so slightly more.
Yeah.
Bit by bit over 2 years.
And that's probably the first time he's ever actually properly gone all in on, other than the match that they had was it last year's Full Gear, wasn't it? It was the title tournament decider one.
But I think in that match, he's going to go for it a bunch of times and not get it.
And then when he finally does,
they're going to protect it. It's going to be like the one-winged angel.
Yeah.
So when he gets it, that'll be it.
That's it.
But he'll go for it a bunch of times and he won't get it. But he is. But the thing is, we all know that Hangman's going to win that match.
Yeah.
And we can go. Hang on, because I'm going to look at the Full Gear card just briefly. Because the thing with AEW, and again, it's not a massive problem. Maybe I'm the only one who cares. But you always know who is winning every match.
For a certain amount, yeah.
I would say 85 to 90% of the matches, you know who's going to win. And we know who's going to win Hangman versus Kenny. Hangman's winning that.
I'll say that I think the reason that you do know that is because it does make sense a lot of the time.
Yeah. Well, and it's not a bad thing. Like the end of Spider-Man, you know that Spider-Man wins.
Exactly.
You can still enjoy it.
Yeah, totally.
But, Britt Baker versus Take On T, Britt Baker wins that.
Yeah.
In a circle versus those MMA guys, no one wins that. Not even us.
I mean, that could go either way. I'll give them that one, but the
Lucha Brothers definitely beat FTR.
Yes.
Darby beats MJF, I think.
Oh yeah, he needs to win that. Off the loss.
Punk beats Eddie.
Yeah.
I think the Super Click probably beat Jurassic Express, but Miro versus Bryan could go either way. Everyone thinks that Bryan is winning that match. Absolutely everybody thinks he's winning that match. And if he didn't, that would be massive. Plus, Hangman is winning the title, and he needs a heel to work against. It can't be two megally over babyfaces in his first title.
No.
That makes no sense.
No. And, the other thing I'll say is this. I mean, obviously, the Punk and Eddie Kingston match, and I'll tie that into what I was about to bring up anyway. The notable thing from Rampage, there was a bunch of decent matches on there.
Yeah, it was good.
Watch if you've not seen it yet, it's worth a watch. But the main takeaway is the CM Punk Eddie Kingston promo bit, which was fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Eddie Kingston, I think he should be world champ at some point before he stops wrestling for them.
Yeah, for sure.
He's over as all shit. Way more than I honestly realised until just recently when, the Danielson match and all that. He was getting 50-50 chance with Bryan Danielson.
Not easy to do.
He got the crowd booing CM Punk during this promo. Holy shitballs.
Yeah.
The content of it, I love the way that he was like, oh yeah, why don't you just piss off for another 7 years, and he stuck nut on him as well. I love that. That was the snapping point. He was like, don't you fucking talk about me quitting, you motherfucker.
There was a lovely production on that because they only ever used two angles. the hard cam wide, and then one that like was above Punk, over Punk's head, but just sort of following Eddie around the ring when he was moving.
Yeah.
And that was it. They didn't cut to Punk.
He was stood in the corner, sort of by him, wasn't he? Sort of thing on the apron. Yeah.
They went in close to Punk from that angle, but he didn't have his own shot. They had the 2 shot and the Eddie shot, and that was it.
Yeah.
And it was really good. The Eddie one was slightly high angle and following him around because he kept walking corner to corner. The whole thing was really well put together.
I think they do that on purpose purely because they know that Eddie's going to be all over the shop while he's talking like he does. But really, really strong. And I mean, it's the match I want to see the most on this pay-per-view. Yeah,
wasn't. That's going to be low-key the best match. And I think Eddie should win that. He's not going to, but I don't think it hurts Punk to lose to Eddie.
No, and I think he might put him over. I think if he's got anything about him in terms of this whole... I mean, it could go either way. I mean, either he finally gets Eddie's respect finally by beating him, which would make sense, or he puts Eddie Kingston over, and then, I mean, if they want to continue it some more, then obviously I think that would be the way to go, because if it's just... If CM Punk is right, and he is a bum, having him lose, that's it, that's it over at that point.
I think having Eddie win, you can play into... Because all the people that Punk has faced up until now have been people who grew up watching him, not people that he was... So he's beaten Will Hobbs and he's beaten Darby Allin. He's beaten Matt Sydal.
But he's somebody...
People who were somewhat reverential towards Punk, where he hasn't beaten anyone who doesn't respect him and isn't trying to... Him. Yeah, he hasn't beaten anyone who doesn't put him on a pedestal. He hasn't beaten a peer.
Yeah.
And this is the first time he's wrestling like a colleague.
Yeah.
And I think it should be good. I think he should lose.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, like I say, I mean, that one especially, I mean, I think it could go either way. I'm very 50-50 on that.
I think Punk will likely win. And I won't be pissed off if he does. It makes sense. But it's more interesting if Eddie wins, I think.
Yeah. And I think that would be a massive sort of, vote of confidence for Eddie Kingston to take things further. And I think he deserves it. So,
and Punk needs something proper to do. He can only be happy to be here, Punk, for he's done. That needs to be finished about a week ago.
I think that I think 100% he knows that, but I think you have to get over that sort of honeymoon period that you have with him. I mean, Jesus, he was gone for that.
Oh yeah, completely.
Long it was. I do agree that now's the time to do it, and I think
if this is it, then fucking brilliant. But this needs to carry on.
He's smart enough to know that this is where you do it.
I would give this 2 pay-per-views and a special. I'd give them 3 matches. And whoever comes out on top, whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'd give them 2 pay-per-views and a special in between.
I wouldn't... I mean, I would give them that, but not necessarily one after the other. I would let them do what AEW does and let them move apart and stuff. You could even... Once Mox comes back, you can get Danielson in on the mix and have CM Punk and Danielson versus Mox and Eddie Kingston, which they've already said they want to do. Stretch it out a bit in that way as well. And then you get a bunch of singles out of that. It's fucking license to print money, that. Jesus.
I think that's the feud. If CM Punk wants a proper story, then I think this is the one to do. This is the most interesting one.
He's got to lose. They've both Danielson and Punk have got to lose sometime. They can't just win forever. So if you're going to do it, I think this is a point where it would... I mean, granted, he's not been back wrestling all that much. He's not wrestled that many matches. But you might as well get it out of the way so it doesn't become a thing.
And the undefeated streaks are starting to pile up. MJF's undefeated. Danielson's undefeated. Punk's undefeated.
It's not special.
It's starting to... technically, I think Adam Cole is undefeated as well.
Yeah.
Singles, but they're starting to build up. People aren't losing matches. And they need to. That's how it works.
If Punk's serious about putting people over, then he should put over Eddie Kingston, if you ask me.
I think so, yeah. I think that's the more interesting way to go.
Yeah. So that covers all of those then. So, middle portion of the show is Gazz's Beer of the Week. What is your Beer of the Week, Gazz?
Well, we didn't do the watch-along this weekend, so I haven't had as much to drink. So I have just finished this. Summer in Zagreb.
Nice.
Then we have no sponsors because we have 6 subscribers, and that's not how sponsors work.
We have 16 subscribers now, son.
Shitting crikey.
Recognise.
Hello, friends. But my wife got me a Beer 52 box this week of 10 beers. It was a Croatian-themed box. And this is a wit beer. Summer in Zagreb wit beer. And it was fucking lovely.
Nice.
I would be surprised if you can go out and get this anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you've got a bottle shop near you that does European beers, I guess maybe you could. It's very nice. It's a slightly toasty wit beer. Tastes a bit like toast.
Nice.
Yeah, it was really good.
I like it.
Yeah.
Me and the wife had a drink on Friday night, and I drank just a bunch of the defaults. I had my what's it called one? The honeycomb one.
Oh yeah, Seven Brothers.
That's it, Seven Brothers honeycomb. Fucking love that shit. It's delicious.
And I'm going to give this a bong.
Bong rating for this wit beer.
4.
4.
4 bong.
The man from Del Monte says 4 bong.
The man from Del Monte with COVID-19 says, I couldn't really taste it.
And if you'd like to understand that, see the last watch-along video on this here YouTube channel. And while you're here, give us a like and subscribe. Hit that bell
button. Yeah, do that.
Button.
And also, while you're here, after you've liked and subscribed, find us on the socials.
Yeah.
We've got them.
At WRestleChaps on Twitter.
Yes.
And our Twitter handles for ourselves are...
Our individual ones
right
there.
Down here. The big news story of the week. This is why we're doing a bumper special edition version of this. WWE continues to leak wrestlers at an alarming rate.
WWE at this point fires wrestlers like that's what the business is. They do that more than they do anything else.
We're in the wrestler firing business. We fire wrestlers.
Chewing on his water. I've got a list here of all the people. That block of text there is all the people they fired this year. It is November.
Jesus Christ. Is that just this year? I thought I was going to say...
That's this year, yeah. That's not the whole time.
It's not the 2020 one included, no?
No.
So this week's round of releases. What day was this when all this shit went? Was it Thursday?
T'other day. It was, Thursday, Friday.
Friday, wasn't it? So first on the list, let's give us the first one.
Righto. The first one is Nia Jax.
100% deserved. She should have been fired ages ago.
Yes. However, she should have been fired ages ago. She shouldn't have been fired now.
No?
No. She was on leave for mental health leave, and she requested an extension because she didn't feel like she was mentally ready to come back, and so instead they sacked her.
They just didn't reply to her for a few days, and then they sacked her, didn't they?
Yep.
Which,
to be fair to them, they did give her more leave.
Theoretically, they gave her all of the leave.
Yeah, they did.
In fact, they just gave
leave,
her...
do you?
Leave.
Have all the leave in the world.
And just leave.
Yeah. In fact, leave. So, yes, she was bad in the ring. She was dangerous. She was constantly hurting people. But this was not the time to fire her. The time to fire her was 4 years ago.
Yeah. No, not even then. Just when she came to main roster and started breaking people's noses and dropping people on their heads, it should have been at least a bump back down. Hang on, can you learn how to wrestle, please? She's The Rock's cousin, and we all know that's why she got a pass. She
lasted a long time, a lot longer than perhaps she should have done.
Definitely. So I 100% agree with that one, if not the timing of it. So
sure.
Next on the list,
Eva Marie.
Who they hired back all of 48 seconds ago.
That's right. Eva Marie has still got a cup of coffee that isn't cold from the day she came back to WWE.
She's not even put milk in it yet.
And
she'll never get to.
Still brewing. She came back about 6 weeks ago, did nothing, and then was immediately fired.
Yeah, I don't care.
What a phenomenal waste of the world's time.
100%. Moving on, because she's not worth talking about.
This is a bad one. Mia Kim.
I Yeah.
Mia Yim was in NXT, in which she was boss. She was like the NXT Jeff Hardy.
Yeah.
She was in every ladder match, and she was class in all of them. And then they brought her up to do nothing with, and she did nothing for weeks. Then she was in Retribution, which was bollocks.
It was.
And then
bollocks.
she wasn't in it, but she was still dressed like she was in it. And then they did an angle with her where she had an epileptic fit on, I think, SmackDown in the middle of the ring, and then she went away and then never came back and then got fired.
Holy shit, I didn't know about the epileptic fit thing. What was that all about?
No one knows.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Add it to the ever-growing list of GTV who raised the briefcase at King of the Ring 1998. All that sort of stuff.
Who pied Kevin Owens?
Who murdered Vince McMahon? Who blew up Vince McMahon's limo? Why
did Mia Yim have a seizure in the middle of the ring? Why is T-Bar still called T-Bar when the Retribution broke up ages ago? You don't have to be T-Bar anymore.
When I hear about the things that WWE have booked since I start watching it, that's it. That's the statement.
Yeah, and it's a massive shame that Mia Yim's gone. But 100%. As we'll soon find out, Keith Lee is also gone.
Yeah,
they're together. They're both going to be booked so much better anywhere else they might go.
100%.
So
Mia Yim is really good. And
yes, she is.
How you don't see the value in that, I don't understand.
She's not a horsewoman, so even if they did see the value in her and they thought she was good, all they'd have her do is lose to the horsewomen. That's all Bianca Belair does now.
It's weird, isn't it? Like WWE keeps going back to these sort of big stars like your Goldbergs to come in, and whoever else they get in to come in. Fair play, he's put over a few people recently as Goldberg, but he did just beat Bobby Lashley, didn't he, at the last Saudi Blood Money show. You can't help but wonder why they just keep, every time they create a star, they're like, shit, we've got like 3 or 4 stars here. Let's murder everybody else at the expense of these people for the next 14 years.
Yep.
Don't understand.
That is the system.
Yes.
And they can't bring back old women's legends because there aren't any.
No.
They chose not to make any. There's Lita and Trish Stratus and Mickie James, and they fired Mickie James earlier this year.
Yeah.
So... And they have a new hiring policy now where all the women that they hire must be 25 years old or younger.
So fucking stupid. I mean, since you just brought him up as well, we might as well get into Keith Lee, because he's my big, what the fuck are you doing? I mean, you sent me that thing before I saw that the other day.
Yeah.
He did everything that they asked him to do. They did a 24 special on him. Be working closely with Vince McMahon. I'm going to do this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. And what they gave him was the fucking Bearcat, Keith Lee. What? Bearcat isn't a thing. You can't just make up things.
Well, they said that it was an homage to some 80s wrestler called Larry Bearcat Johnson that no one's ever heard of. But it was just a stupid name.
Yeah.
They said, well, you've got Keith Lee. He's a double champion in NXT. Let's fucking knacker that straight away. Get both those belts off him when he's at the very top of his game. Make sure to keep him off TV for 2 months.
Yeah.
Or we decide what to do with him. He's getting too big. Too big for his fucking singlet, which we make him wear.
Yeah, and if you could just stop doing all the stuff that made you popular in terms of your wrestling ability, you're chucking people all over the place. Stop all that. Don't do anything off the ropes anymore. And all that smiling, could you stop that? Could you just go out there and have no expression on your face whatsoever? Come out, walk, wrestle, win, raise your hand, and then leave. Yeah, great.
Yeah, we asked for Keith Lee, and what you gave us was Keith Lee, and we're a bit confused. What we actually wanted was the opposite of Keith Lee. Not this, like something like this. Keith Lee. Okay, well, Keith Lee's brilliant. Yeah, but not him. Someone who looks exactly like him, but doesn't do any of the stuff that he does. Can we have him, please? I suppose you could, yeah, but no one likes it. Oh, no one likes it. Well, you better sack him then. He's difficult to work with.
I don't understand the incessant need to force people to do something just because Vince McMahon thinks that they can do it. Well, nobody ever says, hang about, Vince, that's a shit idea.
Well, Bray Wyatt used to say that.
Yeah.
He got the fucking can.
Difficult to work with.
For
fuck's sake. Who's next on the list? Because I'm starting to get annoyed now.
Anti-vax Harry Smith.
Oh, is he an anti-vax Harry Smith, is he?
Oh, yeah. Davy Boy Jr.
I think it's worth pointing out as well that it's been mentioned that some of these were people, supposedly some of the reason why some of these people got released was because of they wouldn't get vaccinated.
I have heard that, and I find it difficult to believe because Jackson Riker still has a job. Yeah. And there is no way that fucking guy is vaccinated.
No chance.
Not a chance. Unless he's lied and said that he is.
This is it. I think he might be one of those, like Fox News. They're like, don't get the vaccination, and meanwhile everybody in the building that they produce Fox News from is vaccinated. Otherwise, they'd be fired.
Yeah,
it's one of those situations. So Harry Smith got fired. He got hired literally about a month and a half ago.
He did one backstage vignette where he said, "I am back now,"
and even that was only online, wasn't it? It was a YouTube.
And then he
exclusive.
Was gone.
Yeah. Next,
Karrion Kross. Didn't get over, was told not to get over, didn't get over, and got fired.
Sounds about right.
They made it impossible for him to succeed, and then when he didn't succeed, they got rid of him.
Yeah. Nice work.
And they got rid of Scarlett Bordeaux at the same time.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I was particularly sort of excited about Karrion Kross.
No.
I was watching the NXT product for a while there. He was one of the reasons that I stopped when he won the title. I was like, well, I don't really like this guy, and it was a very left field decision.
It was very rushed. He didn't really do anything else, really. He turned up and he won the title, and then he went away again.
Compared to everybody else who was NXT champion, it was either somebody on the rise who was mint, or it was an indie person who was mint. And then this guy comes in. I know he had a bit of a name for himself from the indies before that, but he wasn't what I would consider to be a shit-hot worker, which a lot of the other ones were.
No, he just had an entrance. He was the same as Bobby Roode. His entrance was more over than he was.
Yeah. So, we already discussed his stupid gimmick change on the very first episode of this very show. So, not really much more ground to cover on that.
They took away everything. The same with Keith Lee. They took away literally everything that made him interesting. And then when he wasn't any good and people didn't like it, they got rid of him.
Yeah. It's like they do it on purpose.
Ludicrous. Well, the problem is, all these people, as we go along, you'll find the thing that unites all of them is that they're all wrestlers.
Yeah.
And that's not what they want there.
No.
They want injured college football players and like javelin. What are they, javelinists? I don't know what the collective term for people who throw the javelin is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they want that, and they want shot putters that they can teach 3 or 4 moves, and that'll do them. They don't want any wrestlers, so all the wrestlers are gone.
Entertainment who don't trust wrestlers to do their job properly.
Next up is Lindsay Dorado and Grand Metalik. Shocking that they are even still there.
I know. Yeah.
They're both perfectly fine. Grand Metalik and Lindsay Dorado are both good luchadors.
Yeah. Grand Metalik especially was mint in the Cruiserweight Classic.
But they don't want that there. Vince can't book Mexicans who aren't called Mysterio.
You can't book a Cruiserweight division either, so...
No. Horseshit. So they did well to last as long as they did. And there are now even fewer people on 205 Live than there already were.
It's not like they'll struggle to just immediately go back to Mexico, big stars as they already are. Probably.
They'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Jeet Rama, who you don't know who that is, so I'm just going to move on.
Yeah.
Katrina Cortez is a luchadora. I can't remember her original name.
No, I know who you mean, though. Yeah, she's like probably one of the only masked women they've had in forever there.
She was okay. She was a bit sloppy, but not in that luchador way, in a sort of not trained very well way.
Ah, okay.
She was on NXT a little bit. They didn't really give her anything to do. And then they changed her name, and then they sacked her. So there's that.
She'll be all right.
I'm going to knock through a couple of these.
Yeah.
Trey Baxter, Zayda Ramir, and Jesse Camille. You don't know who any of those people are. So they're all fired.
Yep.
A slightly baffling one is B-Fab. Now,
yeah, she's part of that Hit Row, isn't she?
Is a member of Hit Row, which is a stable that was created about 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Got given the biggest push in the world on NXT. They put the North American title on Isaiah Swerve Scott.
Yes.
Then they got called up way too early, and they got a big push on SmackDown. They were part of the original draft. They got drafted at like 3 or 4 in the first round.
Holy shit.
Like a huge push towards them, and now she's gone. That character, I found this out the other day. She's been in NXT for a little while, maybe a year or so, but under her real name. The character of B-Fab is so new that it debuted on NXT 2.0. She's had 2 matches as B-Fab. Both of them were terrible. She is not good. But her gimmick is so new that she was an NXT 2.0 debut, and she is gone. Jesus. And they did this to the Diamond Mine. They introduced the Diamond Mine, and Tyler Rust was in it, and then one week he was just gone. They're like, oh, now he's not in it anymore, and you can't talk about him. So you're trying to watch this, and like, oh, okay, cool, there's Top Dollar and Swerve and the third guy whose name I don't know, and there's B-Fab. And then the next week, there's no B-Fab, and no one talks about B-Fab. And if you don't follow online, if you're just watching it like Hurricane Helms wants you to, you just sit there with crisps in your mouth, watching the television and asking no questions of anyone.
It was a really weird take to get from Hurricane as well, because Hurricane's normally pretty up on...
Well, Hurricane got furloughed when he didn't need to be.
Yeah.
And he's been fired a number of times, but he sure seems to like WWE now.
Weird.
His breath smells like leather, and there's laces in his teeth.
Jesus.
His check has got those 3 letters on it again.
Yes.
And he is happy to Seth Rollins his way all over Twitter. He's not interested in any opinions other than the ones he's told that he has for money.
It's a damn shame because I like Hurricane Helms. He seems to be pretty on the level.
No, he's a dickhead now.
Seems like
he's a bought and paid for dickhead.
Bought and paid for opinion machine.
Welcome along to Booker T's Terrible Takes podcast.
It's me, Eric Bischoff, and now Hurricane Helms. And Jim Cornette's also here.
Hi, I'm Eric Bischoff. Can I have a job yet?
No.
No.
Well, I still like your stuff anyway.
Perhaps I'll say more things about AEW, the most recent place to put me on television.
I don't think they're going to have him back anytime soon, though.
No. Next up is Only Lorcan.
Yeah.
Who, when they emailed him to tell him he was fired, spelt his name wrong. And that's not his name. That's the name they gave him. They called him that, and then they spelt it wrong.
Fuck. It's just one thing after the other. Like I've said this for years now. It's the whole you either die a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yeah.
WWE is now so much like WCW used to be back in like 99, 2000. It's unreal. I'm just waiting for one of them to get a FedEx with a check in it for $0, like Chris Jericho got one time.
Yep.
Fuck's sake.
That says you're fired on it.
You're fired.
Only Lorcan is a shame because he was in Pete Dunne's stable.
Yes.
Pete Dunne, Danny Burchell, and Luke Menzies. Now, Luke Menzies, a.k.a. Ridge Holland, which is not a name, has been called up. So, but he hasn't appeared on TV. He hasn't done anything. He's been called up for nothing in the middle of a storyline. Nice. And now Only Lorcan has been fired. So it's just Danny Burchell and Pete Dunne. And I don't think Pete Dunne's appeared on NXT since NXT 2.0 started.
No, he's not been on in a while, has he?
And he re-signed his contract.
He sure did.
When Adam Cole didn't, Pete Dunne did.
Yeah.
He done did it.
He done.
So we can watch the careers of 2 men in, like, they're both quite young. Adam Cole, I think he's 32. Pete Dunne's only in his late 20s. We can watch the careers of 2 similarly aged men as they diverge massively at the point at which one of them signed for WWE and one of them did not.
That one nexus point, and let's see how that works out for them. Because at the minute, Adam Cole is a massive featured part of AEW television on TV
week. Every week. Has a match, like a relatively high-profile match with like Christian and Jungle Boy, like a big AEW star.
Yeah.
And the Bucks at the pay-per-view,
and he's
where Pete Dunne couldn't buy 10 minutes on TV if he ran out on the stage with his dick out. And they would cut away from him.
Yeah.
If he tried to get on TV now.
Yeah.
Fucked it.
ludicrous.
Another really shit one is Ember Moon.
Yes. I mean, she's been on the main roster and everything for a long while.
And they fucked it.
They fucked her up there. Again, she got Horsewoman, didn't she? Along with Asuka.
Yeah.
She got Horsewoman and all that. And now she's like, oh, go back to NXT. Okay, great. She's back in NXT. She might actually get used well. And how long has she been back in NXT for now? Maybe about a year?
It's been maybe a year. They put her in a tag team with Shotzi Blackheart.
Yes.
But then they called her up.
Yeah.
So she can lose to Sasha. So then Ember didn't have anything to do, even though Raquel Gonzalez was the champion, and she didn't do anything.
That was a really weird choice for NXT Women's Champion as well, if you ask me, but there you go.
She didn't do anything. She was a nothing champion, and Ember Moon was there, and they didn't do anything with her either, which is odd, because the NXT Women's Division has historically been really well booked.
Yeah.
Like, even when the men's division has been a bit slack, the women's division is usually very, very well put together.
Yeah.
But the last year or so, something's gone wrong. They've really fucked it. It's nonsense. Mandy Rose is the fucking NXT Women's Champion now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
They gave her own stable and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kevin. What's the betting that Kevin Dunn's got a gigantic chubby for Mandy Rose for some reason? God knows why.
Yeah.
But yeah, weird.
But she couldn't get on TV for the life of her when she was on the main roster.
No.
And now she's in NXT. She's the fucking champion. Which, fair play to her. Nothing against her particularly. Seems weird.
Yeah.
But Ember Moon was there. She'll be grand, though. Like, a handful of these people will land on their feet very easily.
There's a bunch of these that, everybody, go to AEW, go to Japan, whatever. They will go somewhere and they will succeed and they'll do well and they'll make money and they'll be fine. Because they're meant, for whatever reason, WWE didn't see it that way. But there you
go. There's Scarlett Bordeaux, who we've already discussed. And then the last one is Frankie Monet, who is Taya Valkyrie.
Which is weird. John Morrison's wife, isn't she, as well?
Yeah, they just picked her up from Impact not that long ago.
About 6 months ago or something?
And she was Taya Valkyrie, and she came out. I think she must have looked too much like Charlotte Flair.
You think that's
in the way she was presented as Taya Valkyrie? But they changed the name to Frankie Monet, gave her like a Legally Blonde sort of gimmick, and like a little dog in a handbag.
Yeah.
And then didn't put her on TV, and then sacked her.
I mean, she's like a double-hard big woman.
Yeah.
The reason why you might have seen her presented like Charlotte Flair is because she's a big double-hard woman, and that's the gimmick, isn't it? So
yeah, she was in the TNA, the Impact Knockouts division.
Yeah.
She was like the top of it. She was the Charlotte Flair of that division, in as much as she was presented as being a genuine threat to everybody.
Yeah.
And they brought her in, and they did fuck all with her, and then they sacked her, which is nuts.
That's literally like the story for most of them, isn't it? They brought them up from NXT. Either they didn't do much here and there, but then they got called up, or they did really well, got called up, and then nothing. And it's just been that pretty much the whole... I mean, who out of NXT call-ups, since NXT became a proper NXT thing, a developmental division, essentially, who has succeeded the most? I mean, you've got the Shield people.
The Shield were barely in NXT though.
Yeah, they weren't. They were basically the last days of FCW, I suppose.
They were hardly in NXT at all.
So there's them. You've got your Bray Wyatt did okay, but again now released, fired.
You have Sammy and Kevin who do stuff, but they're very undercard.
I mean,
they're not really used.
You'll never. I really, really hope that Kevin Owens doesn't re-sign with WWE.
I think he's going to.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if he did, because he's a really big WWE mark to a certain extent, isn't he? I think. I don't know though. I mean, he's got to realise that they don't see anything in him at this point.
They're not going to give him it. They gave him the Universal title 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And he hasn't had a sniff of it since. No. He is good enough to lose to Roman Reigns or to lose to Bobby Lashley, and that's what they do with him.
Yeah.
He's a jobber to the stars, and he should be one of the stars.
I really hope that he doesn't re-sign. But
well, look, this here is a picture of all the previous NXT Men's World Champions.
I think I saw this. Yeah.
There it is. There, I'll put it up on the Twitter when you put the episode on. But that's all of them. There are, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 champions, if I'm counting that properly.
Yeah.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them are fired. Seth Rollins is so far up Vince McMahon that he could clean the back of his teeth with the top of his head. Kevin Owens is on the bubble. He may or may not leave.
Yeah.
Finn Balor is being squandered left and right after going to NXT and having like a massive character shift and a huge resurgence in like
that popularity heavily as well the whole time he was there.
He had some really good matches, like some strong style matches. He broke his jaw.
Yeah, and then Kyle O'Reilly match, wasn't it?
He went back to SmackDown and they immediately stuck the paint back on him. They're all right, get out there, do that thing that didn't work 4 years ago.
And lose to Roman Reigns. Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah, please lose to Roman Reigns. Aleister Black gone, Andrade gone, Adam Cole gone, Karrion Kross, Keith Lee got the last 3 champions
are all gone.
Samoa Joe was a champion, but he did also get fired.
He did also get fired, but then they immediately rehired him again, didn't they?
And he's not a champion anymore. Tommaso Ciampa is a champion now, which he has been before, and he's much less interesting now than he's ever been.
Way less interesting. It's just a big shit show, and it's no fun when any of your favourite wrestlers get fired and that sort of thing. But it's just the way that WWE seem to go about these things. It's just, they reckon that they're prepping it to be sold, and if that's the case, that's a business thing, and I get that. But there's
everyone that got fired was either too old or too wrestler.
They shouldn't have hired this many people in the first place at all.
No, it was a talent hoarding operation.
It was don't let AEW get them a thumb.
But the issue that they have now, and I always thought about this when 20 years ago or something daft, when they first fired Shelton Benjamin.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit, there goes Shelton Benjamin. I will now never see Shelton Benjamin wrestle again because there's no WCW or ECW, and there's no way for me to find out where else he might be wrestling. And even if I did, it's not accessible. You can't get it to look at it. So he went to Japan, but there's no way for me to look at that.
Yeah.
I don't live in America, so there's no tape trading. There's none of that, and there was no sort of streaming or anything at that point.
But now,
Keith Lee leaves, and if you like Keith Lee and you're not a lunatic who's like, well, Daniel Bryan left, so I always hated him. He was always shit.
Yeah.
No, I haven't got a yes t-shirt on. Shut up. If you're a normal person who's not in any way deranged and you like Keith Lee, you can easily find out where he's going to be wrestling next, and you can just watch that.
That's it. And
eventually, the more of your favourites that WWE fires, the less reason there is for you to watch it.
Exactly. And at this point, I read something the other day that apparently this Nick Khan guy, who seems to be the sort of driving force behind a lot of these firings and budget cuts, etc., said that, well, at some point we'd like to be in control of the independent wrestling scene. And it's like, doing this, flooding the independent scene with a bunch of really fucking good wrestlers is going to cause a massive resurgence of it, if you ask me. And they're going to pop up here and there. And maybe they don't have the money of any AEW behind them, but someone like GCW is getting a lot of steam lately. MLW's got a bunch of people that are putting money behind it. They nearly got a bloody streaming deal before WWE put the kibosh on it. There's little things that are going to pop up here and there. One of them's going to catch on. And there's going to be 3 major promotions again, like there was in the late 90s.
What we're missing is the ECW.
Yeah.
We've got our WWE. We've got our TNT-backed alternative. What we don't have is the backyard, homegrown indie.
Hardcore, violent federation that caters to the adult audience, which, AEW does cater to a slightly older skewing audience than thing he does. But like you say, WWE's aiming it at kids, and kids aren't fucking watching it. It's 60-year-old men who are watching it, and at some point they're going to get fed up with the shit not making sense, and they're going to switch the channel and go, oh.
Well, eventually they're going to turn on the TV and find that it's 13 people that they don't know and Roman Reigns. They go, well, what am I still watching this for?
And instead of wrestling, they're having a dance-off for 2.5 hours.
Roman Reigns comes in at 2 hours, 26 minutes, wins the dance-off, becomes dance-off champion, holds up a purple dance-off champion belt, and then next week, none of that is talked about.
And I think at that point, that's where we put a pin in this week's episode of WrestleChats. A bumper ReleasleMania edition of WrestleChats.
I don't want to take credit for ReleasleMania. You said that to me earlier.
I did say that, yes.
I don't know if you made that up. If you did, it's brilliant.
I did actually. Well, it wasn't like I'm clever. I'm going to write this. It just came to me as I was typing it. So
loved it. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, we heavily featured WWE ReleasleMania.
Nice. Right. So for this week's episode of WrestleChats, I'm Lamb. That's Gazz. Peace.
Goodbye, friends.